My name is Agata. Welcome in Agata's Cottage. Today's video is quick tutorial how to make drawstring bags with tiny bit of twist. Those drawstring bags. In traditional drawstring bags you will have actually part of the main fabric turned into a tunnel where you can put the ribbon or a cord and tie it. I'm using lace. Actually, I will show you closer here. Instead of making a tunnel from the main fabric. You might ask why. Why reinvent the wheel? Mainly because I keep forgetting about leaving opening here when you do normal drawstring bags, and it bothers me every time I do it, and I keep forgetting. So I wanted something that will be easier for someone like me. I love making drawstring bags. They are a great idea for packing gifts or even for gift themselves. I made usually 3 different sizes, so this one is smallest. Then there's a bigger one, it's a whole fat quarter. And the biggest one is actually 2 fat quarters. This size is 19 centimeters by 24. I used half of the fat quarter. I got it in Aldi in a bundle, but you can use cotton, you can use corduroy, you can use cotton twill, whatever you prefer. You can use a canvas, they will be more stiff. Medium size bag is coming roughly to 25 centimeters width and 42 to 44 centimeters in the length. The big bag is roughly 52 centimeters by 45. I used 2 fat quarters for it. Just put them together, stitch on 3 sides, then lace, and done. You can fit in a lot in those bags. For example, here I have a jumper. Here I put one of Ali's teddies, and it's quite big teddy, so you can see it's big bag. You can fit in a lot there. You can fit in some books. In order to make drawstring bags, you need fabric, you need lace or a ribbon or any kind of tape, whichever one you prefer. You need some ribbon, cord or rope for threading through the tunnel, and maybe a bead or 2 if you like them. They aren't mandatory, you can go without them. I would also recommend something to mark fabric and some pins. If you don't want to use lace for the tunnel, you can also use a tape or a ribbon. For example, I'm planning to make bag like that. This ribbon kind of tape, it's actually recycled something. It was holding a blanket I got a few years ago, and I liked it, and I thought, okay, I can use it someday, so I kept it, and it will be part of drawstring bag with this fabric. I'm planning to make one of the bags using this fat quarters and this trim. It's actually vintage trim from late 70s, early 80s. I got it from one of hubby's aunts. I hope you will enjoy this tutorial. I will show you step by step how I'm making those bags. They're quite easy. I don't think it took me longer than 2 hours to make 6 bags, and that included recording some footage. Now I will iron my lace in half. I'm doing it in order to make my life easier when I will be putting the lace on the back. Then we need to put a little bit of either interfacing or something like a curtain hammer helper or the hemming helper. I'm not sure how it's called. I think it's called hemming tape. So I got that one in IKEA. It's slightly thicker than the ones I'm getting in the fabric stores. So I'm gonna fold it over and press. And I like using the one from IKEA for lace on the drawstring bags because it's kind of like a heavy duty thingy. If you have tiny bit left over here, you can just trim it. Sometimes lace stretches a bit, so then we will do the same thing on the other side. I usually cut it slightly bit smaller than the width of the lace I'm using, just so it won't go over the edges. Fold over and iron. Sorry, it's my first tutorial, so I hope my hands won't be too much in the way. So this lace is prepared for the back, and I'm planning to repeat it for all the other laces that I will be using in this tutorial. Now we need to do zigzag stitch on the inside of the lace here, just to make sure it stays secure. I did zigzag stitch along the edge just to secure the lace. I'm using cotton lace, but if you are using lace that was made with polyester, you can secure it with the lighter. I will show you next step. So I'm gonna put all the lace on the side. I have few sizes of bags prepared. I used fat quarters for all of them. So for the first one, I ironed the fat quarter in half, and then again in half, and cut in between, and I will have two bags. So I ironed them right sides together, and now we need to do stitch here and here. So I have two smaller ones. I have two that were made that will be made using just the fat quarter, so they will be longer than wider. So the lace will go on the top. And the last one I will be making today is the big one. So I will use two same fat quarters, and I will stitch them on both sides and on the bottom. By the way, whenever you are using directional print, be careful how your print is going. When you are using directional print, be careful that your print goes correct way. Like, it's important on this print. However, on this one, it doesn't really matter which way it goes. I have two different finishes for the seams. So I did straight stitch and zigzag, and I also did straight stitch and overlock the edges. Next step is to mark top seam. So I will be using the seam gauge and a friction pen. You can use chalk or you can use any other marking tool. I just like using those because I can erase them with the iron very quickly. So I usually use 1 inch for a seam on the top. So I'll mark it like that on both sides. Be careful when the things move. I actually got this seam gauge from one of Chris's aunts. She likes to sew, more like mend than sew things as well. And she thought, I can get you something useful. She usually sent me things like zippers and buttons and any kind of sewing notions. So now it's time to fold and pin. So I fold first to the line I marked and I finger press just to make my life easier. Okay. If you've done anything sewing wise that goes with quilting, you know that finger pressing can make your life easier, especially when you're working with cotton. So it's secure, and now I will fold again and pin. Whenever you will be sewing on the edges where you have thicker seams, slow down or do hand crack your machine so you won't break a needle. And if you are still having problems, it might be worth to lengthening your stitch. So if it's slightly longer, it will go easier. I will do the other one now. Of course, you don't have to use 1 inch. You can make slightly wider or smaller. You can hem. You can do rolled hem if you prefer. It's up to you. Ow. Pin myself, sorry. There's no sewing project without a bit of blood. So I have hem done. It's nicely and secure. Do you remember when I mentioned to be careful with your print, the direction it's going? I wasn't. So do as I say, not as I do. But anyway, it's we can still use it. Just silly mistake on my part. Next step is adding lace. Whenever you are placing lace, make sure that the wrong side touches the right side of your fabric. Remember when we ironed the edge of the lace? Now it fits nicely with the seam. So I'm gonna pin it here. So the lace is not moving. Just be careful, don't pin yourself, because I pricked myself twice today and it's a bit sore. I like to place my lace slightly below the hem so it's easier to sew, so there's not too much bulk there, and I will pin it around. So I put my hand inside the bag and just pin all the way around. Whenever you are getting to this stage, I try to aim so those two bits are equal. Just makes it look neater. A few more pins. And I should have it ready in no time. I like making those bags because they are quick and they look great. They look like you put a lot of effort while it's maybe 15 minutes job. On this bag I will do the seam here on the inside, so the sides of the lace will be loose. It will give nice effect when the bag is gathered with the ribbon. That's why I chose thicker and wider lace over something small. You can see it's all stitched up. I left bits loose. Now time for a ribbon. I have ribbon, safety pin. and 2 little beads to use at the end of the ribbon. I secured the edges, I don't know if you can see, of the ribbon by burning them with the lighter. You can do with candle, or you don't have to. Maybe if you have a fray check, you can use that just to stop the ribbon from getting frayed. So we need to thread the ribbon through our lace. Oops, be careful with lace, you might go through different places. By the way, when you are stitching your lace, don't close the openings, don't stitch that. For the length of the ribbon, I like to use double the width of the bag plus and 2-3 inches. And when securing to safety pin, I try not to pull the pin through the ribbon, just tie it a little hack, then a ribbon doesn't get distorted. I got my overlocker tweezers, they're very handy with stuff like that, so hopefully I will manage to push that through. It's not the easiest thing to do, but it's not the hardest either, especially when you burn the edges of the ribbon together. It's almost like it's threaded. Voila. So now little knots at the end to secure the beads. Of course, you don't have to use beads. I just like using them just to keep the ribbon in place. I have tendency to lose the ribbon, especially when a lace is a bit wider, so that this helps. So bag is done. So I put Ali's t-shirt inside. There's plenty space for another one. Little bow, and her gift is beautifully wrapped, and she can use the bag for other things. For the list of measurements and required materials, have a look in the description below. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. Thank you for watching. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comments below. If you haven't subscribed yet, please do so and give this video a thumbs up.